Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast, episode 336. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by my big left and right foot, Jesse and Alex. How's it going?
Huh? You made me think of so many things in like a roller coaster. I thought you were going to get like weirdly political, and then by the end, I was thinking about Daniel Day-Lewis.
You said it was a big, and I was like, yeah. And he was left and right. I'm like, yeah, foot. I was like, oh,
yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis.
All right.
Not small, nimble feet like a Warren.
Oh, never
big
trips.
Feet like a Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of things going on that are like a Bigfoot, like just visually, like from a distance.
We stop.
What is
visually, like from a distance? I feel like you might mistake me for a Bigfoot just like on profile.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I see.
No,
that.
I got a tiny ass dick, but I look like a Bigfoot. Yeah.
but like from a distance and with the right angle, it could look like a foot.
No, it's just because everything's really hairy.
Yeah.
So it's like hard to tell. Yeah.
No one knows.
No.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm so excited to be back.
Damn.
We have to bring the flavor in. It's like the month of like love. Is it the month of love? What are we on the schedule? It's called Sexy Hot Aliens Month because this month is all about sex and aliens and all kinds of
month
weird.
If you let it be.
Yes, that's true, but only in February of 2026 are we heralding it with a giant big titty mantis lady in all our branding and a special like fuck playlist, the Chilluminati breeding program playlist, which is available on our Spotify and will be available on all our social medias and stuff.
What is this show?
What find happened?
I don't know.
Find it.
When I like, there's an aspect to it that
Mathis,
Alex just kind of does, and I just mostly just ignore.
Oh no, Mathis, that wasn't a question to you. That was to the audience because
I
most things you do is which alien will I have sex with?
I lean into the
sex. Making fuck playlists. And
I lean into the sex one time, and suddenly I'm the pariah of the group.
What happened to us?
Suddenly I'm the pariah of the group because of my sexual confidence.
Innocent, and then these two dragged us down, y'all.
They
took us down to their gross level.
In your fantasy world, Jesse, when did we lose our innocence?
Andrew WK.
Oh, at some point I rubbed off on you and just really ruined both of you, unfortunately.
69 Sex Mysteries, was that it?
Yeah, and then
Vagina Island.
I realized we went too far, and now I'm trying to pretend like I wasn't involved at all, is what's happening.
So then what's today's episode about?
Well, gentlemen, first off, how dare you? But secondly, my goodness, today is a good one because I get to do something I've never done before, and I get to bring back a Jesse goof. But first, hey, patreon.com.
Oh, what a great website.
Pod.
Oh, yes. I
we
like
love
it there.
Website.
Please.
Guys, all we're doing behind the scenes is talking about how we can make the Patreon the most wicked shit you've ever seen. Already, live show out for those who want to see it. All kinds of stuff going on. If you missed the live show in November, it's there. If you're on Patreon, just go listen to it. It's actually, the audio it's good. I edited myself. I tried to do a decent job. I tried to make the audience audible for the Q&A as best I could. But also while I was there on stage, I also repeated most of the questions. But it's a nice, tight little show. It's got some fun bits. Crendor literally destroyed me live on stage in a way that I haven't been since I used to do improv comedy. It was very funny and surprising in the way that it was supposed to be. I had a great time. Patreon.com/2millionpod, Patreon.com/2millionpod, Patreon.com/2millionpod. Sex playlist. Back to the show.
Okay, so
last segues.
Gentlemen, it's that time of year where for roughly a day, big corporations remind us that we should spend money on the person we love in order to show them that material wealth is the way to express that love to them and to boost corporate profits for another quarter. It's quite romantic. And in honor of that, I figured I'd get this month off right by tackling romantic themed stories from the world of this podcast, covering all the topics we deep dive into.
I love this.
So, once again, submitted for the approval of the Chilluminati Society.
The Sexy Hot Aliens Society. Yeah.
I call this episode Love, Lust, and Lies.
Oh, shit.
What incredible.
Perfect way to kick off February.
An L for each of us.
Valentine's Day season.
An L for each. I don't like that. Too many L's, man.
An L for each of us, dude.
An L for each of us. Which one is love? Which one is lust? Which one is lies?
I want to be lust, but I feel like Jesse also has a very solid claim to lust.
I'm lies.
Yeah, I would say Malice is love. The love of extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I'm lies, dude.
I'll take it.
I know I'm lies. You guys know I'm lies. I am the guy who lies.
Does that mean
right? Everyone says it about
the truth?
You.
Yeah.
Everyone says that.
The thing is, it's just about creating a little air of mystery, right? That's it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that mean that's
Remember
it.
that.
I was just going to let that hang.
Remember that.
That's what, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to begin today by jumping back into a topic we covered in a previous Jesse episode, urban legends. And it turns out there are many modern myths out there that we just didn't tackle. And as you know, if you listen to that episode, we talked a lot about stories of young couples getting attacked by like hooked-handed men or killers in the house. Basically all the warnings for kids to be safe out there when they're, sort of exploring and potentially sexually explicit,
demons only
relationships.
come when you're horny.
Yeah, like when you're horny, stuff attacks you. That's most horror movies.
When I'm horny, I attack stuff.
I'm very sorry for your wife.
I did not. It's not. It's more like
throw books around, smash
what
a controller.
Really big squishmallow. Have you seen that movie American Pie?
Yep.
Pies? You
guys?
pies?
Is it any
in the pie?
No, is it any good?
I'm never eating at your house again.
It's a shame because you make excellent food.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Maybe that's why it's excellent. I don't like that.
It's made with love, but in a way that you didn't expect.
It sucks. And so a lot of those tales were for young couples, warnings, things like that. Well, older couples have their own stories and urban legends too. And I'm sure some of you listening right now have heard these stories and like all urban legends. You're like, well, that surely happened somewhere, right? Let's go back to the summer of 2004.
Are we going to learn about the spooky nursing home cryptid that shows up and gives you STDs if you sleep with too many elderly folk?
You are not. No, this is going to get even weirder, dude.
The summer of 2004, the summer of love.
Yeah. Summer 2004, Nick and Sherry Shelby spent their second wedding anniversary traveling around the United States. They had made a promise to each other that they'd explore the country together before they got married, and, with jobs and whatever. Nick was going to keep that promise. And so it took 2 years, but finally they had enough to take a month off of work and travel around the U.S. And to make it fun, Nick thought it'd be great to relive the journey of their marriage. In this case, being like, we're going to hit all the spots that were, when we were younger,
like where
that
we
meant
met or some shit
to us.
Okay.
So they were traveling around to different places. They spent some time in New York, which reminded them of how they met in school there. They traveled to Ohio to visit relatives, spend time with the family, that kind of thing. And eventually went south to Nashville, Tennessee, because that was the music they were very much into and they were super passionate about it. Eventually, they ended up in Panama City Beach, Florida, a town where they had spent their first real vacation together as college kids for spring break, and the first time the two of them had sex. Anyway, Nick, being the playful sort, went and rented them a room at the same crappy motel they had stayed at the night they first made love. And it's one of those rooms where like the bed was in the shape of a heart. The bathroom was literally like in the room with them and had one of those champagne glass tubs that you can like climb up into and sit in, that kind of thing. Everything had this weird, slightly off-putting red velvet texture to it. That kind of coloring was going on.
That is such a weird thing to commemorate because, like...
He was being playful, I suppose.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, isn't it better, like, one of the other times when you, like, got your feet under you and learned how to... learned how to...
You would think.
Learn how to
you would think. The room seemed serviceable enough, though, as Nick and Sherry played... with each other. They teased with each other. They were like, this is so gross, but like, it's fun. It reminds us of when we were younger. Anyway, Sherry goes to the bathroom to change, putting on something a little more comfortable. Nick turns on the TV. There's no channels available at all, but there is like an on-demand movie selection thing. And he starts scrolling through it all and he looks at it and all the titles are titles and then numbers, but they're all titled like various porno things.
Hell yes.
Right? Like, they are all clearly just dirty porn. And that's the kind of vibe of the place. So he turns one on, and he looks at it, and he's like, okay. Turns another type of porn. Anyway, as he starts scrolling back through it, he turns on one, and he's talking to his wife, trying to figure out, like, what do you want to watch?
Which
what are you
porn
into
do you
tonight?
want to put on while we fuck?
Yeah, kind of to get in the
Question
mood.
of the day.
That's what they were
Question of
doing.
the day for the audience. Porn during, yes or no? Just let us know. Yes versus no.
I think it's to be honest, I think it's gonna be a mixed bag of people say definitely yes and definitely no.
I'm just interested. I don't know if there's like an Alex Mathis and Jesse of porn on yes or no, but in case you're wondering, I'm a no.
I'm a no. I don't have porn.
I'm not against it, but it's not something I would actively be like, we should do this. If it's on and it like sparks the mood, awesome, go nuts.
It's not my
but
move.
I'm not
It's
going to
not
be
my
like,
move.
hold on, baby. Let's turn something on.
I can't get off until
it's not my move.
In Uranus on Uranus 2 is on the TV.
That's my favorite one.
I'm rarely in a situation where it happens to be on when someone else is around also, but that is another conversation and not one that I'm too worried about the answers to.
So Sherry's in the bathroom. Nick's going through all these pornos, asking her, like, what do you want to watch? What do you want to do? And she's like, find something extra dirty. So he's not really sure what extra dirty classifies as, but he starts scrolling through the videos. And he notes again, each title has numbers next to it. And as he's going back, the numbers decrease. And it hits him, these are dates. And eventually he stops on one, presses play, and he notices that, like, it isn't great quality and super weird looking. And it kind of looks like it's filmed in a hotel room.
In his hotel room? Yeah. Yeah, he got the backdoor Google Drive archive.
And he is looking through all of them. He continues to search, now a little more panicked, because when he clicks the next video, it is clearly the hotel room they're in right now. And it's a couple having sex. And he's like, what the shit? So he starts scrolling back through all the numbers because they're by date. And he sees the date that he and his wife were there years before.
I would have put that on and be like, all right, we have to beat our last performance.
Babe, have you ever played DDR?
We're going for a new high score. Got to go longer than
Hard
the actual
mode,
video goes.
As his wife struts out in lingerie from the bathroom, she notices Nick is not looking at her, not paying attention. When she approaches him...
But in a way, he is.
I mean, I guess you're right. And she sees that there's a couple on the screen, laying on the bed, about to fool around. And he turns to her, she turns to him. It is them as younger college individuals. And they look at this thing, and it is their entire time staying there. They watch their younger selves begin to kiss. And as the video played out, Sherry looks around the room and for the first time notices that with all the red padding and all the red velvet shit everywhere, there are little tiny red lights all over the room. They have been filmed the entire time by someone who's been watching them.
In my mind, I'd be like, I'm about to get rich from suing the fuck out of this place.
How did they get... Why is it on the TV?
Give him the performance of a lifetime.
That's such a
lawsuit.
The fact that it would ever be accessible from a TV in the room when you're
if this is
the fucking person is insane.
We take this as a true account. Maybe the TV's got like somehow hooked on the network, like the local network of the actual security system in the hotel.
I see it. I get like you could just go to the media server. Yeah. That's in your house. Maybe. Yeah.
And much like all these other stories, there is no real ending. The ending, of course, being they're being filmed and they're being watched right now. The end, right? Like what happens to them? Who knows?
Black Mirror.
We have no clue.
You now, suddenly realize you're being filmed. What do you do, boys? Do you continue first?
A lot of time people get worried about like an Airbnb or someone watching them. And I think if you're a woman, it's much worse. Sure. But if you're like...
Okay, say it's just you and dick in your hand about to jerk off.
Shit, I don't care. I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. You want to see this? Cool, dude.
Good for you, brother.
I think I would pretend like I would pretend like I don't know, and that I would like text somebody to call the police and tell them that I am currently being recorded, so that I don't like
go James Bond on them.
Just so that I don't like wig. So I wig them out. You know, like if I start freaking out, they're gonna like.
Yeah, because you don't know if like who's running that thing. They could be a pervert or they could be a killer. You have no clue.
Yeah, so I would just
I'd keep going, but stare directly into the camera the whole time.
Oh, keep going.
I mean, okay.
Emotionless, cold staring.
Right. No, sure, dude. Yeah.
They probably hate that. You get that show him.
He'll never record anyone ever again.
They probably hate that, dude. That probably piss him off so fucking much, dude.
Yeah, I'm ruining their little fantasy.
Fuck yeah.
But of course, this story, real or not, it doesn't really matter. It's an urban legend. Serves as a warning like they all do. In this case, it's one of those like avoid low quality establishments. Or when you think of Airbnbs, it's warnings for young women to like, don't stay in an Airbnb alone. You never know what's going to, like that kind of thing. These are all
straight out of a like scary stories to tell in the dark type, just like from 2025 version.
A TikTok ad for a lock for your Airbnb door that I get a lot.
Yes. You see those all the time where it's someone being like, this is how I prepare. And you're like, no, you don't. This is an ad for a lock, and it's insane.
You're a psycho.
What you're doing.
No. Trust one person. They have a like user profile. Like they're not going to risk it all on a profile at Airbnb.com to have a kill house.
Right. But the best part about this is most of these stories, the reason why we believe in them to some extent and we worry about them is because in reality, there are some things like this that really do happen. And I have one of those stories. And I just am so excited to go through this with you because, oh my God, I can't believe this is real. And it super is. So in the New Yorker, back in 2016, Gay Talese, a writer for the book Thy Neighbor's Wife, which is a study of sex in America.
Is that just one name or two names?
Gay Talese is one name, first name, last name.
Gay Talese. Okay, got it.
And he's a writer who wrote that book and then writes an article for the New Yorker in 2006. So the book comes out much earlier. But in 2016, he writes this article for the New Yorker. And he recalls in this article the story of a letter he received in the mail that sent him down an insane rabbit hole. And the letter reads as thus. And I would love it if Mathis, you could read the voice of the person who wrote this letter.
They're horny? Are they horny?
Just this is what the guy wrote.
I love he's like method. Are they horny?
Whether it be recording Chilluminati podcast or anime cult or any of the number of other things I do, I often find myself in what I like to call a time vortex. You know, where time just disappears. I want to eat better, or you have zero time and zero energy to make it happen. Well, that's where Factor comes in. Thank you for Factor for sponsoring today's episode. Factor doesn't ask you to meal prep or follow recipes. It just removes the entire problem. It's 2 minutes, real food, and you're done. I realized cooking healthy meals just wasn't going to happen when I was staring at a pile of research notes at 8 p.m. with a completely empty fridge. And look, you're not failing at healthy eating. You're just kind of like failing at having 3 extra hours every night. To be a gourmet chef, that's what I tell myself anyway, and it helps me feel better. Factor meals are already made by chefs, designed by dietitians, and delivered straight to your door. You just have to heat it for 2 minutes and eat. And this isn't like your sad, icy TV dinners. Factor is always fresh, never frozen. You're getting lean proteins, colorful vegetables, and whole food ingredients with no refined sugars or artificial sweeteners. They have over 100 rotating meals every week, including high protein, calorie smart, and even a new Muscle Pro collection for strength and recovery. It eliminates the mental load of what's for dinner entirely. I've been using Factor for such a long time now, and I encourage you to at least check it out. Head over to factormeals.com/chill50off and use code chill50off to get 50% off your first Factor box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. Yes, you heard me correctly. That's factormeals.com/chill50off and code chill50off to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for a year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. Thank you again to Factor for sponsoring the episode. Dear Mr. Talese, right? Talese, how do you say it?
Yeah, Talese.
Okay. Since learning of your long-awaited study of coast-to-coast sex in America, which will be included in your soon-to-be-published book, Thy Neighbor's Wife, I feel I have important information that I could contribute to its contents or to contents of a future book. This is like an email we would see in the Epstein documents dump.
This is literally that vampire message, but just like from like a sex guy instead of a vampire.
The man goes on to explain.
Under this city you don't understand, Mr. Talese. The world of fucking and sucking. If you need a hand broaching its sphincter,
you don't know how accurate you are, and I cannot stress this rabbit hole is deep. The man goes on to explain that he's married, he's a father of 2, and he has bought, or long ago bought, a 21-room hotel near Denver, and who, with the assistance of his wife, cut holes in the ceiling of more than a dozen rooms, used aluminum screens to make them look like vents, which he then covered and used carpeting and stuff in the attic to cover up the fact that he was literally just watching guests through the vents for decades.
Good.
That's absolutely fucked.
It's so scary. This is a guy in the vents just sitting there.
He then said this.
The reason for purchasing this motel was to satisfy my voyeuristic tendencies and compelling interest in all phases of how people conduct their lives, both socially and sexually. I did this purely out of my unlimited curiosity about people and not as just a deranged voyeur. No, that's part. I like how he says not as. He didn't say not as a deranged voyeur, but not as just a deranged
He's like,
voyeur.
oh, I am one. But that's not all I am.
Don't you worry. I am a
I am an absolute freak on a leash.
Saying I bought a 21-room motel in order to spy on people, you have to say, yeah, I'm a pervert. You have to.
Capitalism is the problem. No one should have that much money and be able to do that.
He then explained that he had logged accurate records of the majority of the people he watched at the hotel. And he said this, which is just...
What are we talking about volume-wise? Because that's fucked up to
That's
me.
a lot.
Decades of people.
Like, how many gigs are we talking about?
Goodness.
This is what he continued to write in the letter to Lise. This is what he did. He said, I wrote about these people and
compiled interesting statistics on each, i.e. what was done, what was said, their individual characteristics, age and body type, part of the country from where they came, and their sexual behaviors. These individuals were from every walk of life. The businessman who takes his secretary to a motel during the noon hour, which is generally classified as hot sheet trade in the motel business. Married couples traveling from state to state, either on business or vacation. Couples who aren't married but live together. Wives who cheat on their husbands and vice versa. Lesbianism, of which I made a particular study. Homosexuality, of which I had little interest, but still watched to determine motivation and procedure. The 70s, later part, brought another sexual deviation forward, namely group sex, which I took great interest in watching. I have seen most human emotions in all their humor and tragedy carried to completion. Sexually, I have witnessed, observed, and studied the best first-hand, unrehearsed, non-laboratory, I feel like he'd say, non-laboratory sex between couples and most other conceivable sex deviations during these past 15 years. My main objective is, in wanting to provide you with this confidential information, is the belief that it could be valuable to people in general and sex researchers in particular.
So you can see this guy kind of has an attitude about what he's doing. Like, it's actually not just voyeurism. He's doing a study.
Hannibal Lecter. He's like having some fun with it, like Zodiac or something.
I have a little dry mouth, and I almost don't want to fix it because I feel like he would just constantly speak with like a little. Yeah, exactly. I'm like
ASMR voice.
Yeah,
so nasty. This guy. Oh my God.
He continued to explain he was not a talented writer, but was seeking someone to share his story, and he felt that Mr. Talese, a guy who was writing about sex at the time, would be perfect. And he invited him to come to Denver to see the motel and stay as long as he wanted to get the story, as long as
he could film it.
This guy could be anonymous.
Oh, of course.
He didn't want people to know who he was and what was going on there. At first, Talese was conflicted. Because how could you possibly, as a nonfiction writer, not use the real name of a person who, wanted to do this, and also as a person that invades people's privacy?
I don't know. Ask Lou Elizondo.
This is like confessing to a crime and being like,
absolutely.
You want me to film the bodies?
And
just don't put my face in it.
Yeah, like Talese reflected on the fact that, like, okay, I just got done with my book that I went and hung out with nudist swingers in Southern California, and everything I saw is kind of how this guy sees what he's doing.
Except no consent.
Right.
Yeah, except, the very important consent fact.
And he was like, I don't know what to do here, because what if he's like a psycho like Norman Bates, or just some peeping Tom, or just like an absolute fool of a human being doing something illegal. Like, he didn't know, but he needed to. There's something deep inside Talise that was like, I need to go meet this man. And so he's did.
Not, I get following the crazy because it always leads to something amazing. But this is
yeah.
I hope that the end of the story is, and then he reported to the police, and then he went to jail. The end.
I think genuinely that this, and you can go to the New Yorker and read the whole thing. There's so much to this, so much more than we'll talk about. But like, I think in 2016, this is him writing to the New Yorker as like, I knew this man, and this is my confession to knowing this man who was doing this stuff.
Okay. So yeah, at the time when it was pertinent, he did nothing.
Which I think a lot of writers do these days. But, you know, it happens.
I feel like this is
literally just went through the warrants where the people knew what they were doing and nobody did anything.
I feel like this is a crime.
Surprising.
I feel like what he has done now is now a crime. Now,
and it is. I will say, it 100%. The spying on the people, that's a crime. But there's something weird that starts to happen
what
here.
What the journalist did also, I think, is a crime now, right? Like by not saying anything. He's I did all these crimes.
Well, no, because that could just be hearsay. It could be like, as far as he knows, without evidence, they're lying and making it up. It's all true. It's all this messages. And that's true. The problem is like, I can walk up to somebody on the street and be like, I murdered 3 babies yesterday and then walk away.
But if it's published, but if it's journalism, right? That's what
Jesse's saying. It didn't go published. Like he's talking about this in 2016.
But I'm saying,
decades later.
This guy's book came out in the 80s.
But couldn't he just get arrested now for revealing that he did this?
I have not a clue.
All right. Well,
I don't know.
I think it's a little bit sus.
So, upon meeting this man in Denver, they learned his name was Gerald Foos, Foos,
like the ball,
foosball. Yep.
Did you guys like foosball?
I love it. I'm not good at it. But I like how angry it can make a small group of people.
Alex, since Mathis was Foos, you can be Talise. This is what he said about him.
He seemed in no way peculiar. In his mid-40s.
Right, first of all, hold on, hang on. No way peculiar after he described him in every way
visually.
He did. Okay, yeah. All right. Sorry, I'm like, he
seemed in no way peculiar. In his mid-40s, Foos was hazel-eyed, around 6 feet tall and slightly overweight. He wore a tan jacket and an open-collared dress shirt that seemed a size small for his heavily muscled neck. He had neatly trimmed dark hair, and behind horn-rimmed glasses, he projected a friendly expression befitting an innkeeper. Is this J.R.R. Tolkien who wrote this?
Writers, man. They be writing.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Foos told him that he would give him a good room, one of the rooms that did not have a peeping Tom hole in it.
Nice.
Thanks,
one
dude.
of the good ones.
I bet you he was telling the truth.
I got your back, dude. No peeping Tom hole.
And he's like, and I'll show you around when my mother-in-law goes to bed because she does not know about what goes on here. And then he said this to him, which is kind of what I just said, but this is for Mathis.
We'll put you in one of the rooms that doesn't provide me with any viewing privileges. My wife, Donna, and I have been careful never to let her in on our secret. And the same thing goes, of course, for our children.
Yeah, so none of the family except for Donna and Foos himself.
He said, no, we'll put you in room 202, where we don't peep on you.
Tell me this turns out to be the Warrens. Because this is about as low as Ed Warren at this point.
As they talked, Foos explained that he and Donna met in high school in a farming town 65 miles outside of Denver. They'd been married since 1960. His childhood was a strange one, according to him. His parents, while kind, never openly showed love to each other in any way he would consider sexually romantic. As an example, he gave his mother would get dressed in a closet. So the dad couldn't watch.
Like I Love Lucy, like separate beds. Like,
yep.
I used to get dressed in my closet like when I had like a roommate.
I used to go into the closet because it made the rest of the house quieter.
Damn. Mathis, you good, bro?
Yeah, I'm good now, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Then you can read this next quote from Foos.
And so, being very curious about sex, even as an early adolescent, with all those farm animals around, how could you avoid thinking of sex? Huh? I looked beyond my home to learn what I could about people's private lives. Isn't that saying because he saw a bunch of pigs fucking in his farm?
Yeah, he saw animals fucking on a farm. But his parents wouldn't.
Even as an early adolescent, is like, that's the time. First of all.
Yeah.
second of all, why? Like, how did that translate into private lives?
Well, I'll tell you.
I'm assuming he started being a voyeur to his neighbors.
From pigs to neighbors?
Because, well, he eventually started peeping on his neighbors, and his neighbor was his aunt in her late 20s. At the time, she was married to a man who would frequently get drunk and pass out, and so she would walk around the house naked. She would, pleasure herself and stuff, and Foos would snoop for hours.
Oh, my God, dude.
He remained a virgin. And it wasn't until he traveled the world with the military as an underwater demolition specialist.
So that's how he got the money?
What now?
That's how I was thinking this whole time, how did he get enough money to purchase a 21-room hotel?
Yeah, he was a underwater demolition specialist in the military. I assume he got some pay for
big
that.
Money, some kind of engineer, right? Yeah.
But he learned everything he knew about sex at the time from what he describes as bar girls. Now, I don't know if that means prostitutes or girls at bars.
That means he went to the local Applebee's on $5 margarita night and hung out and just
well, that's what he learned. But he insists that the entire time while he was having sex with these other girls, his obsession was still his aunt. He still saw her in his mind's eye as this, it wasn't necessarily the aunt part, but more the snooping on the aunt part. There was some control over, he was doing a thing and she didn't
the excitement.
know.
Yeah. Just like the pigs.
Yeah. They
don't have a concept of being watched during sex like that.
Some wires got crossed when he was young, and hormones are kicking in with his mom hiding away.
He got the pig wires crossed with his aunt wires. Yeah.
He sees it, but then the farm animal's fucking, and it's
accidentally crossed with his pee-pee wires. Yep.
Yeah, and then that happens, dude. He was adolescent. The pee-pee wires were the dominant wires happening for a while. Here's the thing.
There's nothing wrong with any different type of wires. It's just the bomb disposal expert who's cutting them, bro. That's who you got to talk to. Shoot the hostage. You know what I'm saying?
So Talese is listening to all this happen and is shocked. Foos is just dumping backstory on him. And like all good reporters and anyone who takes any good notes, he just sat there and didn't say a word and just let him keep talking.
If he believed him, he should have called the police.
There's another kind of voyeuristic thrill I bet he's getting by telling this guy all this stuff without any of the evidence and being like, also, you can't tell anybody.
Yeah.
That's so fucked that he did. Yep. This is like the type where it's different, where it's it's not like politics where you just are breaking a NDA. It's people are getting sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
I don't know. Crazy.
Oh, it's a wholly much more problematic
it's
thing.
It's incredibly problematic. I don't think any of us are disagreeing with that.
I just can't believe when it's 2000, it's 20 years ago. Okay, maybe, but still, holy shit.
2016 is when this article was published in the New Yorker, but all this happened in the 80s.
But he still had it in 2004, right? The hotel?
Oh no, that was the urban legend story.
Oh, but didn't he say he owns a building?
He's owned a 21-room building since the 70s. And I'm sorry, 60s.
Okay. And we have no idea if he still owns it or anything. Probably not.
But when he found it, when he came to him in 2006 or whatever, he
16.
then
No, I'm sorry. They talked in the 80s. And article for the New Yorker did not come out till 2016.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So it's been 30 years-ish since they had a conversation.
It was happening during the time this guy was publishing his book, which was in the 80s.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Right. So when he returns home from the military, he starts dating Donna, his wife, who was a nurse in Aurora. His job was so boring, according to him, compared to the military. And to escape this boredom, he began to go for walks at night that he called his voyeuristic excursions, where he'd cruise through the neighborhoods of Aurora and spy on people who did not close their window blinds. He'd just kind of look in. And I know what you're thinking. Did his wife know he was creeping?
The answer is yes.
100% she did.
He already said me and my wife, which is so whack.
Yeah,
dude.
Exactly. In the quote I read, he was like, me and my wife can't let anybody know.
He said this for Mathis.
Even before our marriage, I told her that this gave me a feeling of power. Donna and most nurses are very open-minded. Most nurses. He would know. He's a nurse connoisseur. They've seen it all. Death, disease, pain, disorders of every kind. And it takes a lot to shock a nurse.
So she even goes out a few times to help him.
That's
And
fucked.
It was she who encouraged him to do what officially becomes his hobby, which is take notes and keep notes of all of it.
Just become the weird, like, archivist.
Yeah, take
porn.
notes of everything you see. So as the two explored the motel property and he's telling Foos all this stuff, Talese assumed Foos was in it for the sexual gratification or excitement or the power. He said, a voyeur's motivated by anticipation. He invests endless hours in the hope of seeing what he wishes to see, which is people getting off or whatever. But according to Foos, for every erotic episode he saw, he also logged hundreds of hours of mundane moments representing ordinary human life. Channel surfing, snoring, peeing, primping, tedious nonsense, as Foos described it. Talese becomes intrigued by the notion of a voyeur who, over the course of all of his trespasses, inadvertently starts becoming a social historian.
Like a human ant farm. It
reminded him of a book in the 19th century that was published called My Secret Life, which I guess an anonymous Victorian Englishman dished about, like, all the sexual rendezvous and wild escapades and voyeuristic encounters of high society in Victorian England and the Victorian life. And then Talese includes in the article, literary critic Stephen Marcus wrote of My Secret Life that amid and underneath the world of Victorian England as we know it, a real secret social life was being conducted, the secret life of sexuality. And basically he said a man cannot see too much of human nature because there's a truth we all hide from each other about it, which is super interesting. There is a secret sexuality happening. And it's one of those things where, man cannot see human true nature of, like, what we are. Because, like, underneath us all, we're all kind of just like horny beasts, right?
Yeah, it's almost like we're still got, like, our animalistic instincts that are still part of the brain and all that stuff.
It's
Yes.
almost like acknowledging sex and talking about it makes it kind of like less of a weird repressed source of, like, shame and guilt.
But it's also one of the biggest things about America, where you look at the rest of the world and people are a little more liberal when it comes to sex. And here it is awkward to talk about. It just is.
It's crazy. It is crazy, like, how chill it is versus how not chill it is, and how subtle the difference is.
Yeah,
but it's so different.
But it's interesting. It's fascinating. This is the simplification, obviously, but, like, we were a country that a bunch of Puritans showed up to create, and we're okay with violence because they used violence to take what they wanted. Like, violence was more accepted, especially as, like, we became a country. Civil War, violence was in our history. So violence in movies and entertainment, as much as it was kind of like up to the courts for a bit in the 90s there, especially with video games and stuff, it's always been a much more accepted part of our culture than sex by every measure.
Also, it's not, though. There's a weird thing about it where having been overseas a bunch and, just listening to various radio and TV, one of the things I noticed recently in the last couple times I've gone is here in the United States, when we talk about death, you'll see ads for things like, has your loved one passed? Things like that. If you go, I remember sitting in a hotel in England and the commercial was literally just like, well, I'm going to die. I hope I got money to take care of my kids. Like, it was so blunt and matter of the fact that the difference is crazy because we deal, I think, in American culture with, like, death more often, like people getting murdered and shit, but we don't think of it that way. No, we don't associate like, oh, that is a life that ceased to exist, or like maybe one day that will be me, or definitely one day that will be me. You know what I mean? We don't have that conversation.
We like to, we like to imagine
one passed and moved on instead of they're dead. We're very bizarre. We don't like confronting stuff. We are basically a nation that needs therapy.
There's too many different kinds of Americans. There's too many different kinds of Americans for us to talk to each other easily. All of us.
Right. Sure.
I'm not saying that's definitely happening in any country, really, but a country of 12 million or a country of 6 million versus a country of 300 million that, like, makes the population of every micro group bigger than it is in almost any other country. And so it's like a million countries sitting on top of each other with all these different values. And that's why, you read these articles that are like, Gen Z is afraid of sex, or like Gen Z is drinking like your father, or like Gen Z is like having more babies than ever before. It's all just because there's so many.
Fascinating.
It's
man.
a vast.
They really are.
It's just an age group.
Way either.
an age group is not a good way of classifying Americans. I'm just saying.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. It's just crazy how that all changes your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Talise is like deep down wondering at this point if, while Foos is wild, maybe if he obtained and read the manuscript, all the information that Foos recorded.
Oh, like the actual notes?
Yeah, he could create the next My Secret Life, right? Like he could do it using this information. So he really was like, you gotta let me have access to your journals, dude, please. When he finally got them, he noticed something fascinating. And this is the part where I really wanted to talk about, because it is somehow exactly what you would think, but also not what you would think when you think about like a voyeur, right?
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So despite the sexual nature of the entire thing, Foos was writing from moment one. And I assume this is because he spent years walking around town writing stuff down. He was writing as if he was actually conducting a study. Perhaps years of writing those notes actually really helped him see himself as a researcher.
Like as if he's like talking into a fucking...
Yes.
Like
and that's why,
like,
for Mathis, this is the very first couple he watched the very first time. The complete thing.
Subject number 1, Mr. and Mrs. W of Southern Colorado. Description: approximately 35-year-old male in Denver on business, 5'10", 180 pounds, white collar, probably college educated. Wife, 35 years old, 5'4", 130 pounds, pleasingly plump, dark hair, Italian extraction, educated, 37, 28, 37 measurements, by the way. Activity. Room number 10 was rented to this couple at 7 p.m. by myself. He registered, and I noticed he had class and would be a perfect subject to have the distinction of being number 1.
Oh my God.
After registration, I just see number. I say it, I'm like I'm Picard in that moment, unfortunately. After registration, I immediately left for the observation walkway.
What the fuck is the observation
I'm
walkway?
on the goddamn fucking Enterprise right now. I immediately left for the observation walkway. It was tremendous seeing my first subjects for the initial observation enter the room. The subjects were represented to my vision clearer than anticipated. I had a feeling of tremendous power and exhilaration at my accomplishment. I had accomplished what other men had only dreamed of doing, and the thought of superiority and intelligence occupied my brain.
The brain of Victor Von Doom.
As I peered into the vent from my observation platform, I could see the entire motel room, and to my delight, the bathroom was also viewable. Together with the
To my delight, as if he didn't fucking set it up himself.
I know. Together with the sink, commode, and bathtub, I could see the subjects below me. And without question, they were a perfect couple to be the first to perform on the stage that was created especially for them, and many others to follow. And I would be the audience. After going to the bathroom with the door closed, she sat in front of the mirror, looking at her hair, and remarked she was getting gray. He was in an argumentative mood and appeared disagreeable with his assignment in Denver. The evening passed uneventful until 8:30 p.m. when she finally undressed, revealing a beautiful body, slightly plump, but sexually attractive anyway. He appeared disinterested when she laid on the bed beside him, and he began smoking one cigarette after another and watching TV. Finally, after kissing and fondling her, he quickly gained an erection and entered her in the male superior position with little or no foreplay, and orgasmed in approximately 5 minutes. I don't like reading any of this anymore. This is stop being good about a paragraph and a half ago. She had no orgasm and went to the bathroom. Conclusion: they are not a happy couple. He is too concerned about his position and doesn't have time for her. He is very ignorant of sexual procedure and foreplay despite his college education. This is a very undistinguished beginning for my observation laboratory. I'm certain things will improve.
He
went into
they weren't
Jesse
freaks.
Dream interpretation mode in that conclusion right there.
That is
I just like that he is like,
insane.
Hopefully it'll get better. His first one, he was like, that was disappointing. And so he's like, hopefully everything will get better.
A lot of people's first times is disappointing. It's okay.
That's what I was saying.
In fact, it did not. In fact, he questioned so much of what he expected Younger, more attractive couples spent more time arguing and being belligerent than actually having sex, while the older, less attractive people were finding time to get it on in all sorts of crazy ways. He writes of one couple in their 50s who had been just talking about their son and daughter-in-law, which they did not approve of, and both had a routine at night where they just went through this whole hygiene thing, and he was like, it was very boring watching them primp and do all this stuff, and then they went to bed. But then he notes the next morning at 9 a.m., he observed them having oral sex to completion. After watching them for 2 more days, he said, his conclusion was, educated, upper middle class, older couples enjoy a tremendous sex life.
Fuck yeah. Tremendous, dude.
Tremendous.
He watched a threesome between 2 men and a woman who, when they were done, laid in bed and discussed vacuum cleaner sales. He complained that a couple argued because the wife didn't want to stay in this dump, which upset him personally. He was like, I love this motel.
What the fuck?
As time went on, he became more and more disenchanted with all the guests and any idea of sexualism from this voyeurism. He tried to get off, I guess, but was forced to confront the larger human condition. He watched as a pilot and his friend stayed in 2 separate rooms where the pilot brought a girl back to have sex, and the friend put his ear to the wall and listened to them and jerked off while the other couple had sex.
Man,
what the fuck?
Of course, I don't want to know that.
Which, of course, prompted Foos to wonder, like, is everyone a voyeur on some level?
Of course. I love that he's letting himself be affected by this as a scientist in a way.
He then continued to watch more and more people, and his takeaway from all these private lives was not what he expected. He spent years doing this, recording guests, and his conclusion was this. He wrote this as a conclusion after years of research, in his mind, research.
Conclusion. Thousands of unhappy, discontented people are moving to Colorado in order to fulfill that deep yearning in their soul, hoping to improve their way of life, and arrive here without any money and discover only despair. Society has taught us to lie, steal, and cheat, and deception is the paramount prerequisite in a man's makeup. As my observation of people approaches the 5th year, I am beginning to become pessimistic as to the direction our society is heading, and feel myself becoming more depressed as I determine the futility of it all. Yeah, welcome. He would, if he's still alive, he probably hates today.
This is basically, I don't know if you guys ever watched that guy on YouTube who builds the giant ant terrariums with all the lizards in it and stuff. This is exactly what he's like. He has a god complex, and then he's like, I don't know how to take care of an alligator. And then he puts it in there and it eats all his lizards, and he's like, interesting.
Well, what can I learn from this?
What hath nature wrought? What hath man done?
God complex is accurate, because after this point, he doesn't stop. Instead, he sets up scenarios to test his guests and record the outcomes.
Oh my God. Dude has a reality TV show before reality TV was a thing.
He would, for example, set up a briefcase in an area of the hotel that was out in the open. And he would have a conversation with his wife about someone left a briefcase with a bunch of money in it. We should definitely call the cops. And they'd be like, okay, yeah, we'll do that later. First, I need you to go do a thing for me. And then they leave the room and they wait and see if someone would take the briefcase.
And what's in the briefcase? Fucking
nothing.
Anthrax?
Nothing.
I got you. Just a piece of paper says, I got you.
You're a bad person.
Out of 15 guests who were subjected to this honesty test, which included, by the way, a minister, a lawyer, an Army lieutenant colonel, only 2 people of 15 returned the case to the office. Everyone else either tried to steal it or dispose of the case after finding out there was nothing in it. The funniest part is that he said the minister pushed the suitcase out the bathroom window into some bushes so he wouldn't be caught.
It's just like Jesus.
Into some bushes. That's how I got my dorm, is a girl jumped out of the window because she was high, and the dorm got checked on during a party. She freaked out. She just jumped into a tree and got in trouble.
Man.
He would continue to watch drug dealers, prostitutes, a murderer. He saw a suicide happen, so much more.
He saw somebody murder somebody?
He saw someone murder someone, yes. He saw someone get bashed in the head. He then saw someone kill themselves. Again, he's been there for decades at a motel. Like, not a fancy hotel, like a motel on the side of the road, that kind of thing. And he's seen some shit. And all it's doing is making him realize that, like, I don't know that I should have done this. He's like, humanity is much more messed up than I was trying to get off on some shit. And now I've learned the real humanity and the real human nature. And it really upsets me.
Now, you stopped me from my plans of purchasing and setting up a voyeuristic motel in my future.
Just for
too
science.
Depressing. Just too depressing.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. It's sad to see a dream die.
I'm glad that that's the karma he got. I'm kind of glad. Like, I'm not happy he fucking like voyeured and watched all these people secretly, but the fact that it made him depressed.
It became like a monkey's paw of like.
Literally,
I didn't realize it wasn't just going to be like people having sex in swings.
Yeah, he genuinely had a whole revelation about like what he was doing. The article is massive. I don't want to get into all of it. That's not the point of the episode, but I'll include in the show notes and send you guys a link to the New Yorker article. Please go check it out. It's wild. He goes into detail about a lot of stuff, especially like I was talking about the murders and stuff. He talks about that. The point I'm trying to make with all this, though, is there are not only people who get off watching other people, but to some extent, all of us have a little voyeurism in ourselves, and it makes you think. It's one of those like projection things. It makes you think sometimes that someone could be watching you. And
I think about it all the time.
I constantly have thoughts of like, especially when I'm in a new area, or whether part of the country or a different country, of wondering, like, looking at people's houses or apartments, and like, you know, maybe someone has like the windows open and you can see a TV on. And my thoughts just like, I wonder what their day-to-day life is like. Yeah. A curiosity of how other people live their lives, I think, is normal and
that's
natural.
Fascinating. Yes,
but I am not also like rock hard as it's happening. I'm not like,
no, I don't. I'm not interested in seeing people's like moments that they don't want any, but that they think no one can see. I just find it interesting how people live in a sociological perspective. However, I will also say, you know, something that we all have in common is that we have been POIs at like conventions.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And in those contexts, it does feel like you're being stalked, and it is correct to be paranoid that people are looking at you a lot of the time, because they usually are, because you are somebody that they know and they're watching, and it feels so fucking weird.
But also, I'd like to think, and even though it's a little bit of a stretch, in a way, technically porn is voyeurism.
It's like consensual voyeurism.
Yeah, it's consensual voyeurism.
Sure. But like 100%. You're looking in on other people doing it. You're not present. So
there's nothing that's contributing to the furthering of yourself as a life form about watching somebody else fuck. But it is nevertheless fun. Yeah.
So that's one aspect of this. But gentlemen, in Love, Lust, and Lies, we are not done, because I submit for the approval of the Chilluminati Society one more story. We've got a few of these. I hope you're ready.
I am.
As everyone knows, New York has a rich history with countless lives lived and strange stories to be told. I realize now that sounds like a dialogue from Gangs in New York, but I assure you it's not.
Dude, Bono song just starts playing.
Yeah. Time speeds up rapidly, and we see all of New York before us.
Liam Neeson.
In the Flatbush area of modern Brooklyn, for those of you who have never been to New York, essentially, it's comprised of boroughs, and in each borough, like Brooklyn, there are little small neighborhoods like Flatbush. That's what I mean by that. Originally, by the way, I believe that they were all smaller towns that were part of the Dutch colonization of New York in the 1600s. And then later the British came and like took control of all that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Flatbush has been there since probably the beginning. Anyway, weird tangent aside, in Flatbush, an old estate once stood called Melrose Hall. It was at the corner of Bedford Avenue and Winthrop Street. And it was built in 1749 by John Lane. Basically, he wanted a place that was a little further out, because at the time, Brooklyn was a little further out from the city. It wasn't what it is now, which is just part of the city. And he wanted to be kind of out in the country. And so, but he also wanted to travel to New York City.
That's crazy that Brooklyn. That's crazy that Brooklyn was the country at one point.
Pretty much, yeah. If you look at the photos I actually have a photo of the original one to show you guys.
New York is such a weird feeling, man. I've only been to New York a couple times, and I've been to LA so much more. But when you go into New York, it feels like being swallowed by an endless sea of city.
Yeah,
it is like you just.
That's because
like you could get lost there and never be found and be okay.
Unlike LA, it's tall, so it like looms over you.
LA is so much bigger, but it's like.
Yes, LA is
you can see
it's such a bigger landscape.
You feel like you can get
it feels like it's exactly. No, the tallness of every building is a skyscraper. It just feels like you get swallowed up.
Yeah. This is a photo of the hall. I believe it's taken late 1800s, this photo, but it gives you an idea of the countryside they're talking about.
Shout outs to www.brownstoner.com.
Dude, that's
incredible website.
That is the most colonial New England. Like there was a few though. There's a few I drive by those in Massachusetts all the time. Those
you know what
houses.
This looks like, honestly, to me, like as a Californian, is like a movie studio house. Like the front.
It does have that vibe.
It's so funny.
Like that old school MGM studios. Yeah.
My old neighborhood I used to live in New England, there was a 1700s house that looked literally exactly like that sat at the corner of the street that people lived in.
Crazy. 1700.
It had a little sign out there, and it's like it would say the year was made and like historical, but people actively also still lived in it.
Yes, that's basically all of Boston. Yeah. So Lane wanted to live in this sort of English style house with luxury out in the country, but also close enough to New York that he could like do whatever he wanted to do. It's a 3-story home, as you can see, and it is considered by many to be one of the strangest homes of its day, because whether it was designed or not designed at all, it has a weird scheme to the whole thing. It has multiple extensions that were added after the initial draft. It seems like all of it was kind of on the whims of Lane, who is, as we'll learn, a party boy. And so it's got things like he made a large banquet hall and ballroom with formal gardens and terraces. There were secret passages, secret rooms, secret stairwells. Dude was just having a good time designing this thing.
I'm just happy to have one regular stairwell in the house I live in.
Yeah, but he needed secret ones. Lane apparently was banished from England because he was a legendary partier and degenerate. And so he figured he'd start again in the colonies.
From England?
Yeah, he was banished.
The country?
Like the whole entire country.
Jesus fucking Christ,
yes,
bro.
He was banished and he came to America because he was a degenerate.
Worse than Aleister
Think of the levels of degeneracy you have to have.
Listen, Aleister Crowley wasn't degenerate enough to get banned from England.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But this also was the 1700s, so different vibe.
Yeah, true.
He probably just like kissed a girl in full view of the judge of the town.
Yeah, he probably showed off his ankles or something.
I was going to say, she was showing ankle at the same time, dude. It was a bad
somebody probably died when they saw that.
He figured he'd start again in the colonies, and one of the things he was known for was his parties. And so that is why he built the hall the way he did. Massive ballrooms, but also secret rooms for wild party behavior. Because
like, what else do you do when the 1700s are fun other than throw insane parties with alcohol?
Drink
like, what
all
the
day
fuck
long.
else do you do? Shoot at
probably
things,
like
right?
Paint yourself red and make fun of poor people.
Yeah.
Needless to say,
they never do that anymore. They never do that anymore.
No, thank God that doesn't happen. No, they have an island for that now.
Right. You don't need to paint yourself red. You can just wear red. Needless to say, the life of a partier soon got to him, and he became sick and was forced to sell the manor. Thus, the manor would fall under the ownership of Colonel William Axtell. Axtell was born in Jamaica, the second son of a lord, and moved to New Jersey in 1746 to dispose of some of his land holdings and to enjoy himself in New York. And if you're wondering what the hell does dispose of some holdings mean, well, if you're rich, it basically means, in a fancy way, saying, I have assets I no longer need, and I'm going to sell them so I can go live a crazy life in New York. That's what he did.
Okay. God bless him. Wish
he
I
had such a good time in New York.
I see a few of them on a bookshelf behind you, dude. Those are your assets right there.
About 20 more years and then I'm home free, fellas.
You could dispose of some of the... Yeah, that's why you got to have triples so you can sell one. And still have one to show off and one to put in storage. Like, those are the rules.
Exactly. One to kiss, one to show, one to sell.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He had such a good time in New York that he became known in social circles as William the Gay. And I found that on, by the way, in a website called AmericanAristocracy.com, which is a real website that lists all of the people from like the Gilded Age and all their ancestors.
Were you the one
and
who
everyone.
was just telling me about this?
Yeah. It's a crazy website. I was blown away how much information they have.
That is such a funny thing for there to be like a wiki of. It's like a cinematic universe. It's like very
got
funny.
Famous homes in the U.S., a list of like late 1800s, top 400 people that were alive in New York, like the 400 most important late 1800s people in New York, the Gilded Age, right?
Fucking amazing.
Man, so exactly. So the only people had money.
Yeah, it's basically like the who's who of the elite scumbags of New York.
West Egg or whatever. Yeah, the fucking guys from before Gatsby.
Yeah, so
we're living through a new Gilded Age now, though, so we can kind of get to enjoy this.
The funniest part is the fucking party, dude. Like, I know that there's a lot of things in the world that suck right now that we'll never forget about, but the fucking party, that's like the fucking Great Gatsby party that Trump went to with all his like rich friends while everybody's like dying and starving.
And they're all wearing animal masks.
Yeah, fucking what, dude?
I mean, that was this period, and that's a lot of periods when you have a lot of money and no worries and free time versus everyone who's working for you who is doing everything. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this Trump guy might not be the best.
So we returned to Axtell back in this, not the 1800s, we're going back to the 1700s still. And he, just like Lane, was a partier. That's probably, according to historians, how they met. Is at a party at Melrose Hall. And that's probably
they went out and got kebabs at the kebab stand afterwards.
Yeah,
the street.
Lane was like, "Hey, do you want to buy this place from me? I can't really keep it up anymore. I'm sick and stuff." Anyway,
does New York look like Assassin's Creed to me? Like how I'm imagining it looks at this time? Like how big is it?
So New York, Manhattan looked like in actual they're making a city, but this is outside the city, so it's not.
The Empire State
Some people said they lived outside Boston and they really meant it, and now when you say that, you're still technically part of Boston.
Right.
You know?
Right, okay.
So he's so lucky. Basically, Axtell was so loved as a like friendly partier guy. Again, he was William the Gay, they called him, because he was just like the happiest dude in the city. Everyone liked him. He was so approachable. He was in all the social circles. And that's where he met Margaret de Peyster, who was the daughter of a prominent New York merchant, Abraham de Peyster Jr., and his dad, so I guess her grandfather, was Abraham de Peyster Sr., who was the former New York mayor and governor of New York.
What?
So these are like the creme. These are the top of the top of the top.
Top of the top.
Margaret was filthy rich. Abraham, filthy rich. The grandfather, filthy rich. And so Axtell married into this, one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest family in the city. For much of the time, the two lived in their mansion on Broadway in the city. But Melrose Hall, don't know why I said, Melrose Hall would serve as a summer retreat. It did have one other use, though. Like most elites of any age, he hated the changing power structures of the late 1700s, especially if it meant losing any power he had, since they were considered very rich. And for people who don't know, New York, unlike much of the rest of the country, was very loyalist to the crown. And so when revolution breaks out, he and his wife's family and everyone, they take the side of the Tories, which for non-American history buffs is basically loyalists to the crown, people that support the king during the revolution. That's kind of the vibe.
Yep.
He is made a colonel and commander of a loyalist regiment called the Nassau Blues, which are from Nassau County, which if you're curious where that's at, New York, it's on the other side of Queens from Manhattan, kind of like where JFK is, the airport.
Yeah.
So he and his boys, this is apocryphal. I can't find real evidence, but people on the internet say that they were called the Nasty Blues because they went around just rough people up.
Nasty Blues.
They just went to the city and like were a posse and beat the shit out of revolutionaries. It's kind of the vibe.
Like the guy who painted the town red. The opposite.
After the Battle of Brooklyn, which is when the British took control of New York for the rest of the war, by the way, it was a pretty awful place to be if you were a revolutionary or had sympathies of the Patriots or whatever. But if you were with the crown, it was the best place to be in all of the colonies at the time. And if you weren't, like I said, Axtell would hunt you down with his boys. There were even rumors that in Melrose Hall, he held any captive revolutionaries in the walls. And he would torture them in dungeons and stuff. And it didn't matter if you were a man or a woman or whoever.
That's good.
He would find you, capture you, and take you back to Melrose Hall.
Man, wonder where they got that idea. That's fucking... All right. This is just... Everything is the same, you guys. Every single thing
I'm
is
watching,
the same.
We're watching Alex Reckoning.
He's
having a moment right now, yeah.
Evil is so simple, you guys. It's so simple. It's so easy to not... It's just... I hate evil, you guys. Hate it.
So
that's why we at Chilluminati Pod work for the good corporation Chilluminati.
Chilluminati.
Right. That seems safe.
We are not evil. We are not evil.
This guy was doing his thing, and of course the Americans win the war. And as a result of his loyalty to the crown, Melrose Hall is confiscated by the U.S. government. They take it from him. They're like, you took people here and held them. You are an enemy combatant. We're taking your home.
Fair enough.
And that is where the legend begins. Because once it was claimed by the government, the slaves who worked the property had a lot of stories to tell about what went on there. He had many because he needed people to clean the home, tend the fields, take care of the giant garden stuff. And since he was rarely there, only for parties or to hold human beings in cells, these people maintained the grounds and took care of everything and knew all the secrets. And they told stories of hearing people trapped in walls, crying from the floorboards, hidden on the grounds. They were never directly allowed to see any secret dungeons, but they saw people come in and no one come out.
That's a H.P. Lovecraft tale, is what you're talking about right now.
Oh, yes. And it gets kind of there. As I said, Axe till this point is a loyalist, and the dude is capturing and imprisoning revolutionaries. And the Patriots are like, we got to capture this guy. If he's going to do to us, we need to find him. So as legend has it, and there are many versions of this story, this is just one of them. During an attempt to do just that, Axtell is saved by a woman who, again, the origins are different in all these different stories, but it seems to suggest she's a native girl, and he can't say her name, so he just calls her Isabella. Either way,
all right,
she saves him, and he is instantly smitten by her. The best way to describe her, if you look at all the various sources, is she's essentially Esmeralda from Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame. She's like that kind of gorgeous. And he is like, not just, I'm going to cheat on you with my wife, but I'm going to make you my secret mistress, move you back to my summer manor at Melrose Hall, give you a secret room, and live with you in secret forever. I love you that much.
That always works out really well. Take notes, gentlemen.
And he did just that. He took her back to Melrose Hall in secret, and he whisked her away to a secret room. The only person he told that she was there was his most trusted elderly slave named Miranda.
Lorraine Warren. Oh, sorry.
And she told, she was told to take care of her, never tell a soul. And so for some time, Isabella stayed in a secret room, the biggest one they had, and was taken care of by Miranda.
Did Isabella want to be there? Or was this like
question? There's no information about that. I don't know, my dude.
Did she even want to be called Isabella?
Yeah, like, I don't know if there was...
He just named her Isabella.
Yeah, he just called her that.
Again, we don't know anything about this girl. We just know that a girl showed up who was gorgeous, dark skin, dark hair, showed up. Everything else is there's one version of the story that it's the sister of his wife. You know what I mean? We do not really know. It's just a young, beautiful woman is the story.
Got you.
So, she stays there, and he has Miranda take care of her, but he keeps her hidden from everyone. Slaves, his wife, other high society elites. He knows that, like, if this gets out, he's done for, which is, it's one of those things that all these people definitely did stuff like this, but if you were caught, everyone shamed you, and that was it. You're done.
Yeah.
And so one night he called her into the study, and he was like, hey, the war is getting crazy. I'm going to need to go off and fight. And I don't know how long I'll be gone for. I might never return. I need you to know that I love you, but I want you to take some money and make a fresh start of it. And she is pissed. She's like, how dare you buy me off, treat me like some common whore you brought back here to bang, and now you're going to give me some money and tell me to go? F you, bro. I love you. I thought you loved me. And he's like, I do love you. And she's like, no, you don't, or else you wouldn't do this to me. You're going to come back to your wife and I'm just going to be gone? Was that what this is? And she's like, I will wait for you. And he's like, that's insane. Why would you do that? And she's like, because I love you. And he's like, oh man, I love you too, baby. Anyway, he says, fine, you can stay here in Melrose Hall and we'll just tell all the slaves you're here and you can be open with it and it's fine. She's like, but people will find out and that will ruin you, which will in turn ruin me because I'm associated with you. And then you won't have anything. You have no way to take care of me. So like, just I'll lay low for a little bit. You come back to me and we'll go from there. Like you can, maybe break up with your wife over the warts, whatever.
You deserve better. Get out of there, man. He doesn't love you like you love him. Get out of that house.
So Isabella's like, it's okay, boo. I'll keep our secret. I love you. I'm going to stay here. It's fine. So the plan was she would hide out with Miranda's help while he went off to go fight. And Axtell was like gone almost a year, right? When he comes back, his wife hosts a massive welcome party at Melrose Hall, and there are tons of guests. Family is there. Everyone's celebrating his return, but his only concern is finding his mistress and celebrating with her because he loves her.
And
he's just married to the wife because like she got the money.
Becoming like a gothic tale of woe is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Finding an excuse to leave the party, he goes to search for Miranda. And he's like, yo, slaves, have you seen Miranda? Which is a crazy thing to think about. But that's what he did. He like went in, was like, knock, knock. Hey, slaves, have you seen Miranda? And they were like, did no one tell you? Miranda died 6 months ago, dude. And he is, according to legend, his face, all the color leaves it. He becomes horrified as the slaves continue to tell him that on her deathbed, she kept talking about someone in the walls. And they thought she was delirious or maybe remembering all the people that were held in the dungeons before he went off. And so they weren't sure what she was talking about, but just figured she was dying, and people say crazy shit. So he wanders back into the ballroom in shock because he realizes Miranda's the only person who knew where this woman was. In 6 months, she's definitely dead. She's dead in the walls somewhere. His secret lover is
dead in the walls,
a corpse
somewhere,
in the walls.
Dude. This is fucking literally an Edgar Allan Poe story. Literally.
Yeah, this is fucking crazy.
Now, legend has it that at that moment, the candles in the hall flickered out, and before the entire party, everyone there, the ghost of his dead lover appeared. She revealed their affair to the horrified crowd, and unable to handle what happened, Axtell kills himself as the ghost of his dead lover rushes to his side. A literal Shakespearean ending.
Do you think this little urban legend stopped a bunch of aristocrats from having affairs? Because I feel like it didn't work.
Maybe. I don't know. The stories say he died that night. But one of the things I found out through American Aristocracy, by the way, that website, is that it turns out this dude returned to England, died later in 1795. So that whole thing about him dying at the party probably was like American propaganda about a Tory. You know what I mean?
Like it's just like some like roast, like some look at this shitty thing that he did, and then look what happened to him.
Yeah, I mean, there's again, other versions of the story. One is like I said, it was the sister that he fell in love with, but he had to marry the sister for money. Very much like the Hamilton, he's the wrong sister, like that kind of thing. There's another version where he finds Isabella's body, and he carried her corpse to a tree in the garden, the first tree they made love under, and he buries her under it, and you can hear her echoing wails in the night. Either way, the legend of that night and this dead lover is one that continued to haunt Melrose Hall. From the dead men in the dungeons to the buried slaves on the ground to the girl on the walls, Melrose Hall is considered one of the most haunted sites in the United States. And if you're wondering, Jesse, why is no one talking about Melrose Hall right now?
Jesse,
thanks, bud.
Right now.
Thank you. There you go.
It was tore down in the early 1900s to make way for urban development.
Hey, so wait, what's there now?
I will actually show you. So this is just to give you another photo so you can kind of describe to people. This is another photo of the area.
This looks like a photo from
this is the
fucking horror video game
to the hall.
Yeah, this is fucking looks like Ichabod Crane walked right here and got his head cut off. Like it's straight up New England as hell. Like the bleak landscaping is so funny. Like just like really far spaced trees along a snow lined path with those houses that look like Bloodborne, but like America, like over the garden wall, but Bloodborne.
Yeah. And then seeing the way it used to look 100 years later, it looked like this. Everything, all that path stuff gone.
Whoa. Okay. So now it's
just like a normal main street.
Yeah. Like just like an old timey, looks like Washington, D.C. or something.
And the building is slowly becoming decrepit because no one wants to live. It's haunted, right? Then in the early 1900s, it's tore down and this is what replaces it. This is the exact spot.
W.A.A. Brown's duplex houses. The most perfect houses ever built for two families. The privacy of a one-family house trimmed in the finest of selected hardwoods. Okay.
What's crazy is these houses right now would be millions of dollars.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
These like turn of the century 1900s duplexes are so popular. And
do they still exist?
This is what they
you can see buildings like this in Boston all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Steam heat, hot water system connected with steam plant, electric light, 16 large, well-arranged rooms, 2 handsome filled bathrooms with shower. Each apartment of 8 rooms is entirely distinct.
Crazy.
So that's what it replaced it with. So Melrose Hall no longer exists, but it was considered in the 1800s to be one of the most haunted places in America.
Fucking awesome. And it's funny that it's been so far removed and yet this story is still here.
Yeah, it's a thing we couldn't explore or look at or anything. It doesn't exist anymore, which is crazy.
Hilarious.
And I will say there's been no signs of hauntings in these new places they built on top of it.
738
Flatbush take that for whatever
Ave,
it means.
Brooklyn. 738 Flatbush Ave, Brooklyn. Is it still there?
Yeah, it's got to be, I bet.
Anyway, gentlemen.
Dude, it's Peppa's Jerk Chicken Restaurant.
Is that what it is? A jerk chicken restaurant now?
In Brooklyn.
Right.
That's
Peppa's
amazing.
Jerk Chicken Restaurant,
amazing.
Dude. That's the second. Dude.
100 years later, completely different. It's a restaurant now.
Dude,
Peppa's
it looks
Jerk Chicken.
It looks
next
fire.
To Happy Land Smoke Shop, baby.
I doubt this is the same exact 738 Flatbush, but if you're living in New York and you're in Brooklyn, get yourself some delicious Peppa's Jerk Chicken. It's open 24 hours, you dickheads. Go get some. That looks fucking amazing. Dude, what the hell? That's
I've got one
awesome.
more story.
Actually, the
to
outside
submit.
it doesn't even look not correct. Like if you look at the street where this chicken place is, it's like you can still see like the bones of like buildings that look exactly like the buildings from the Brownstoner thing, the duplex houses. They look exactly like that.
If you look across the street from the chicken place, those I think might be. Is that 7? Yeah, because that's 737. Oh yeah, it's on the other side.
Yeah, so it's right there. It looks like you can see like the building windows. Don't look undifferent.
No.
So that's kind of interesting. That's fucking crazy.
Anyway, Jess has got another story.
Sorry. Yes, I'll take I'm just blown away by that. Yes.
Finally, our last story submitted for the approval of the Chilluminati Society. The last case of love, lust, and lies. I'm surprised we haven't done this, and if we have, I'm shocked that I've forgotten it.
Oops.
But everything that we do, first story was urban legend, second story was a ghost story, so of course this one has to be. In 1910, Elizabeth Clarer was born to a well-to-do family in South Africa. Raised in art and music before getting her meteorology degree from Cambridge and going to work on decoding German communications during World War II. She was a pilot, an author, and would later go on to address the House of Lords in the UK and read her published papers to the UN. But none of that is as important as the stories and books she published about Akan, her alien lover from another world.
What?
Yeah, let's go.
Akan is the name? Is this
A-K-O-N? I know it sounds like Akon, but she says it's pronounced Akan.
Akan.
This is her. Please give a description of Elizabeth to the listener.
She looks like Ruth Bader Ginsburg has a secret, but it's like hot young Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And she's like in a Mad Men kind of vibe, and she looks kind of sassy. She looks kind of somewhere between Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Catwoman.
Sure.
Like the Adam West Catwoman. Let's put it that's good. That's accurate.
So back when she was a child in 1917 at the age of 7, she and her sister were outside their home in, boy, I'm going to mispronounce this, the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands, which, if you're curious where that is in South Africa, it is the east coast facing the Indian Ocean. And apparently, I had to look this up, it's known for its beaches and nature reserves these days. Apparently, it's always been beautiful and has a lot of influence from Zulu culture, but also Indian culture due to the port cities. So that's kind of the vibe of this area.
Interesting. Okay.
Anyway, she and her sister are outside feeding puppies when they see something in the night sky. And because Mathis was our pervert, Alex, I would like you to be Elizabeth.
I will be Elizabeth. Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, wow.
We were feeding our Sealyham puppies in the stable yard when we saw it. The sun had just gone down behind Drakensberg, and the early summer sky of the Natal Midlands was clear and rain-washed after the storm had passed. The guinea fowl were calling to each other as they prepared to roost in the wattle tree that grew near the house. Suddenly, they stopped calling, and my sister and I both saw it at the same time. An enormous silvery disk swooped down towards us, moving with a charging brightness out of the clear expanse of sky, a globe of light as clear as a pearl. Fascinated, we watched it maneuver over us while the puppies left their food and ran yelping into the kennel. Then suddenly, another huge sphere fell out of the sky, rolling down towards us, glowing orange-red and rotating slowly as it came, pockmarked with craters like the moon. A fiery and terrifying planetoid was silently and gracefully sweeping through the upper reaches of Earth's atmosphere, and as it slowly rotated, suspended on its course towards us, the silvery disk moved with a flash of light and paced beside it in a slow passage across the sky until the planetoid moved out of the sun's rays to the north, leaving a long, thick trail like smoke across the heavens.
So she and her sister run back to the parents to be like, we just saw a meteor or comet or whatever that was about to hit Earth get diverted by a UFO. And the parents are like, yup, sounds like a meteor, all right. And the girl's like, that's not what's important here at all. A UFO just saved Earth from an incident. And she is so worked up over this that she spends all night long listening to, as she says, the heavenly music of Mozart to sort of like inspire her for what she's seen. Claims the incident changed her life forever.
How does she listen to it?
I would assume on a record player.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
gramophone.
Yeah. Okay.
She became obsessed with UFOs. She was obsessed with what she'd seen flying in the sky. So much so that 20 years later, she became a pilot as a way to get closer to the sky and to get closer to space. She even married an RAF pilot and traveled with him around the world. And in their own words, in her own words, she still had this longing, though. There was something missing in her. And she said this, Alex.
Growing up and going to live overseas to further my studies could not dim the memory of the great silver spaceship hovering in the mysterious sky. Unconsciously, I would look up into the depths of blue, hoping, my eyes clouding with tears I could not restrain, as a snatch of music or a sunset in the sky would cause me suddenly to catch my breath in memory. Even marriage and the birth of my first child could not ease my longing. My husband chided me on being so restless and flew me into the sky in a tiger moth biplane, teaching me how to fly. Encouraged by his understanding, I would fly off into the depths of blue, seeking the ship of space in her own environment.
It's funny because even today, back then, seeing a UFO does something to somebody that often ruins their fucking lives and makes them obsessed. And it's just like this weird, I wonder, just like this curiosity that gets hit when you see something you can't explain that you can't let go of because it makes no fucking sense.
And much like many of the stories we talk about, her obsession becomes something that she's constantly looking. And by constantly looking, she starts seeing stuff. And one such example is another one for Alex. And this is while traveling with her husband in a plane outside the window. This is what they see.
It was blue-white and pulsating, and it moved with incredible velocity straight for our tiny, helpless plane. I tapped my husband on the back of his neck. He looked around and saw the enormous craft slow its speed, changing color to a brassy yellow as it leveled out and paced out plain. Fascinated, I observed every detail as I pressed my nose against the starboard window, seeing the bright, hazy outline of the great circular ship as it paced alongside. 3 portholes, shedding a softer glow, looked out from the side of the dome that sloped up from a vast hull. Beneath the hull, an intense blue-white light alternated with the deepest violet. No sound reached my ears above the frightened roar of the DH moth. Suddenly, the great ship flipped onto its side, rolling along like a vast wheel. And then, with a brilliance of intensified light emanation, it disappeared, vanished. How wonderful, I exclaimed into the headset. It was uncanny, my husband said. I was not afraid, though I felt as if a magnetic force was influencing my mind. The craft was the same type of spaceship I had seen as a child.
So now she becomes convinced.
Incredible.
It's the same ship. It is reaching out to her, and it's trying to contact her. She just doesn't know how to contact it back. But she feels like there's something missing in her. She starts to feel empty, and she starts praying for this ship to return into her life. Apparently, this incident was registered, and the 2 were interrogated by the South African Air Force. But I looked online. I can find no information about that at all. I did find, however, she is mentioned in a lot of reports on the CIA.gov website. And there's even one from 2016 in the NICAP aerial phenomenon stuff where they talk about her. She's listed as part of it.
Yeah, her name's up there. And, well, you'll keep going. And I can put my 2 cents after.
But yeah, like I said, found no real reports from the time period. But her obsession continues. She is super into this. But unfortunately, World War II breaks out and she gets caught up in that. She said this in her book, Alex.
I longed to escape from it all, but found myself bound up at the forefront of a nation's preparations for the defense of her very existence. In a world becoming more dangerous to live in, I wondered at my husband's nonchalant attitude and realized that he would think nothing of the dangers involved. His only anxiety was to shield me from them. I longed to escape from it all, but found myself, nope. I just read it twice.
Oh, it's in there twice, that's why.
Oh, my bad.
To shield me from them.
So, as she's, being shielded from the anxiety of the whole thing, she starts to test and see. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. She starts to test and see, okay, if they're trying to communicate with me, maybe I can communicate with them telepathically. So she starts to try and talk through her mind to animals, to other people. She starts testing it to see, well, maybe, surely they'll hear me. If I just keep talking and practicing, surely they'll hear me. And also, she believes she has powers that other people don't necessarily have. And she thinks it's because she was born under Halley's Comet.
Okay, like she got like an X-Men? Like what she got? What's her powers?
I don't know what to tell you here. She starts to think like, oh, she has other things going on in her life. I'm like, okay. Her goal is to practice communicating telepathically, even though she doesn't know that she actually can. But she's hoping that if she keeps trying, at least they'll be able to hear her on some level. So she is encouraged by someone in the book by the name of the Chief. And I think it's supposed to be Air Chief Marshal Lord Dowding. But I'll be honest, she only describes him as the Chief. And so I do not know. Anyway, he apparently is an old friend, and they go to meet him at some point. And there she tells him all about the craft she saw, this longing she has. She figures a man with his experience in the sky, seeing stuff up there, he would understand. And she says, like, I longed for an escape from all of this. I just needed to get away. Anyway, this is the conversation they have. Mathis, you can be the Chief.
Okay.
And this is pretty easy for Alex. It's just reaction things, but this is what the Chief said to her.
Yes, my dear, I am very anxious to hear what you have to say and what you think. A report has just been handed to me that an unidentified flying object was sighted by 2 of our pilots while a cross-country maneuver this afternoon, while on a cross-country maneuver this afternoon in the vicinity of your husband's flight path with the TK-4. Sometime back, I received a dispatch from South Africa stating that you had both reported the sighting of an unidentified flying object, which paced your DH aircraft while flying over the Drakensberg.
This is what Elizabeth had written in response to this moment.
His eyes softened as I looked directly into them and told him every detail of our experience.
The chief
of my
said
childhood
this.
experiences.
It is as I suspected. Our planet is under close surveillance by an alien but highly advanced civilization from outer space. And you, my dear, seem to be dedicated to this. You know what to look for, you are not afraid, and I can think of no one more qualified. Besides, you have intuition and imagination, which is very important in this advanced research. Will you do it for us? See, that's an interesting quote. That fact that's like having an imagination and is like an intuition is important to this because of all the... Okay, continue. Sorry,
Sure.
I want to ramble. Did I read it all?
Oh, no, the E's Alex.
Oh, I see. Okay. Of course I shall.
Oh,
I
didn't see that.
yeah. Of course I shall do it. I answered without hesitation.
Thank you, my dear. I feel sure something will come of this. Help and guidance will be given to the solely afflicted peoples of this planet who seem unable to live in peace and harmony. And as you know, you have been thoroughly vetted. We know the full history of your family and its ancient lineage.
Klaatu Nikto Baradu.
Which,
Yeah.
honestly, if you look at the way she describes her past in the book, it almost has a vibe of like someone saying they're 1/16th Cherokee princess or some shit. Like, she's definitely like, I was born under Halley's Comet, and I have this, this, and this, and my parents were this, this, and this. A lot of that stuff. The chief goes on to then end the conversation with this, which is interesting.
This research may take you many years. Therefore, every detail of information must be given to me, no matter how fantastic. We are dealing with a fantastic realization. I want you to use your powers of extrasensory perception and follow up any hunches you may have. This extraordinary ability you are so liberally endowed with can be a tremendous value to us.
Eventually, they receive orders to return home to South Africa, and upon arriving in Cape Town, a fire breaks out in one of the hangars. Perhaps it's an accident, perhaps it's sabotage, no one really knows. But her husband is there trying to push the planes out of the way. 2 planes are already on fire. She runs over to go and help him, and a tank explodes, knocking them both back and both out. When she comes to, she's in the hospital.
That's like a movie scene.
Yeah, what the fuck? Tom Cruise running and they like...
Exactly, yes. Just like a movie scene. When she comes to, she's in the hospital. And she claims that when she was passed out, she had a wild vision of the circular craft, the one she always sees. And with it came this sort of soft comfort that she would pull through. She said the following for Alex.
Soon, I was allowed to leave Groote Schuur Hospital and go home to the rolling foothills of the Drakensberg Mountains. I had felt the touch of death and knew it was all part of the preparation. It's when one can respond with love and kindness, understanding and wisdom, and with no vestige whatsoever of fear or hate, that one can hope to meet with the people who maintain the interstellar spaceships, to approach within their domain. I waited for the man from space to make physical contact, but the key was first to find him with my mind and spirit in complete harmony. It happened one stormy night, while I lay quietly meditating and reading my copy of Wuthering Heights, alone on a bed, under my bed sheets, with just a flashlight to light my way. Just kidding, that's not part of it.
While her sister goes to make tea, she's sitting in bed and is suddenly teleported mentally into the sky where 2 spaceships are waiting for her, one of them piloted by the being known as Akan. This is the way she describes him. I'll send you this. She said, I felt instantly bonded with him. He was the one who had always been there from the beginning. He's the guy who was there when she was 7. He's the guy who was there when she was flying with the husband. He'd always been, this is what he looks like. Please describe him to the audience.
Oh my God. Okay.
Baby,
I thought it was going to be a quote. Let's see what this is. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, okay. Okay. So
he looks like he's a general for the evil empire.
He looks like a tall white. He looks like if Grand Moff Tarkin was like 25 years old and like ordered you from a mail order, like Jeffrey Epstein style runaway bride service. Like this is like the most creepy looking. His eyes are huge. He looks like a Lita Battle Angel, but he's Grand Moff Tarkin, age 25, and he's wearing like chef whites. He looks awful.
This is a thing that I think is interesting. She gets glimpses of their world. And it is a place where basically it's like future Earth. Everyone's taller. Everyone's gorgeous. Everyone lives forever. It is paradise is what she gets. And he's like, if you want to know more, meet me in the mountains. And she's like, what? And so they send her mental body back down to Earth. And so she travels to the mountains to find him. And when Bruce Wayne meet, she describes it like this for Alex.
A pulsating hum filled the air, caused my eardrums to pop from the sudden displacement of air caused by the huge ship. Its circular hull was at least 18 meters in diameter, with a rounded dome in the middle and 3 large portholes facing me, through which I could see a man standing in the ship, looking at me. I looked back at him without flinching. He stood there with his arms folded across his chest, regarding me with a compelling and hypnotic attraction about his eyes that seemed to influence and control me, even at that distance. With a shock, I realized that I was entirely forgetting my training and powers of observation, and it was with great willpower that I looked away from his eyes. I studied his face, the most wonderful face I had ever seen, and I felt a sense of affinity and love. A slight smile softened the ascetic lines of his face. It was a gentle smile, and it caused my heart to miss a beat. I knew that smile had softened his eyes too, and I dare not look again into those eyes. My heart beat against my ribs with suffocating intensity. I felt faint. A man from another planet, another world influencing my life. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. There was no fear. There was only a deep and exciting happiness. I reached for the Chilluminati breeding program fuck playlist on Spotify, available now for everywhere that our social media is located. I turned it on to track 1.
And he said to her, and Mathis, you can be our alien man.
Oh, excellent. There is no need for you to say anything. I know everything. I have observed you before.
Patrick Stewart's like personal screenplay from Extras.
It is a knowledge of understanding that we share, and you now belong to me. It was only necessary for me to wait until you had grown up in this knowledge and understanding. Oh, he psychically groomed this girl.
Yeah.
God, he's Ed Warren in space, too. He's everywhere. To be one of us, you must think as we do. I observed you first when you were a child, with your sister in the garden of your home in the valley adjoining the hill. At other times, I have watched you growing up, flying through the skies of Earth, looking for me, and I watched while the lightning high in the sky wrapped you with its purifying flame to make you mine.
Alien Wuthering Heights. We are the Bronte sisters, and this is Wuthering Heights.
It went from fascinatingly interesting to very hard to believe really quickly.
Like shirtless alien, Fabio alien, nipples out picture painted on the cover of a romance novel.
But maybe this is internally what she wanted so bad that it fed on that conscious idea, the desire.
Heaving bodices.
Now, she fell instantly in love with him.
How could you not? Have you seen the picture?
She was smitten. She needed to see him again. And this was their first encounter. She recalls that it ended with him flying away, and she knew that they would have more encounters. And more importantly, that their encounters would take her far beyond the reaches of Earth into an intergalactic love affair that would stretch time and space and open her up to an understanding of the universe that we, as mere mortals, will never grasp. But to steal from these two nerds, that is a topic for the next Jesse episode.
Hey!
Oh, shit! A cliffhanger from Jesse.
When we return to the intergalactic love story.
Intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic.
You think that's what was playing in the background when she was getting abducted mentally?
Yep. That's
phenomenal
awesome.
Job, Jesse.
I had a great time with this.
I'm very excited to pick up with that story too.
I can't believe the pace of that story. I cannot believe that story is that. That is so fucking funny.
That is the intro. That's not even her going and experiencing other worlds. And like it happens And the book is huge, and there's so much stuff she does, and I'm just like, no way is this real, but I don't care, because I'm here for intergalactic love.
That's what Jesse's only wanted, intergalactic love.
I'm here for it. It's the month of love, baby.
It is the month of love.
The shortest month.
And more.
Love and more.
Exactly.
That's why it's the shortest month, is because we think our fans can only bear it for so long.
It's true. We had a lot to say in that. We were like, let's make February shorter, guys.
Yeah, we got them locked in.
Yep.
Jokes
Speaking of short, we have to go do a short mini-sode over at patreon.com/Chilluminati pod for everybody to go listen and or watch, depending on your tier. We appreciate you guys supporting us and listening to us. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. We appreciate you. We love you. Goodbye.
Valentine's Day special from Mathis coming. Get hyped.
It is. It is.
Anyway, me and my wife were sitting outside indulging on our porch one night, enjoying ourselves. I needed to go to the bathroom, so I stepped back inside, and after a few moments, I hear my wife go, "Holy shit, get out here." So I quickly dash back outside, and she's looking up at the sky in awe. I look up too, and there's a perfect line of dozen lights traveling across the sky.